Hey everyone, CPO here. In a few videos ago, I showed you the Powertank 10-pound system that I just got and started implementing in the Jeep loadout for airing up tires. In that video, I also mentioned the possibility, the option of being able to use that same Powertank 10-pound CO2 system to back up my air compressor. Should I ever have a failure of my onboard air, I will lose both front and rear lockers and my sway bar disconnect. All three of those things are air actuated. So what I want to do is show you how I plan to use the CO2 system from Powertank to fix that if it ever happens. So I haven't actually gotten around to mounting the Powertank onto the roll bar. This darn speed bag is just so convenient that I find I don't really want to mount it yet. I just like having it sort of stowed in the back in this handy package. By the way, before we get started, there is one thing I learned since I made the last video that I want to show you. So this speed bag is actually designed to be kept as a unit with the hose accessible. And look at this, there's a little slot in the front here that allows you to plug the hose in and leave it plugged in to the tank. So yeah, I did not know that was there last time. Now to stow it, I can just zip this up, wrap my hose back up and close it. But getting access to it's really easy because the hose just stays always connected. That's really cool. That's one of the reasons why I have a hard time mounting this somewhere when this darn bag is so really cool. Anyway, but back to the air compressor situation. So let me just sort of set the stage here. I have the ARB air compressor. Let me fire it up, pressurize it. All right, so it's pressurized. I turned on the switch up at the S-Tech switch pod up on top there, pressurize this bad boy. Now the ARB has a pressure switch that is between 70 on and 100 off. So at 70 PSI or below, it will turn on the compressor and then fill this little small reservoir or this tank to 100 PSI and then turn off. So it tries to maintain between 70 and 100 PSI. Now the things I'm running with this air compressor don't require that much pressure at all, actually. The air lockers will start to actuate at about 40 PSI, and we know that the Team Tech off-road actuator for the Rubicon sway bar that I have will work easily in that 30 to 40 PSI range. And all of these little reservoirs inside the devices, inside the lockers and inside the Rubicon sway bar actuator are little tiny capsules that fill up with air and pressurize, right? So it doesn't require much pressure. It also doesn't require much volume, which means I can run all of those off of this small little reservoir here on the onboard air system numerous times before having to worry about the air compressor turning on and repressurizing. So the reason I tell you all that is because if I have a failure here, my goal is to repressurize this, and it should last for a while, and I can always repressurize it. So let me just show you here the magic tool. It's this guy. It's a very simple male-to-male adapter, and I've got two male ends here with an adapter. That's it, super simple. This is what's going to allow me to connect my Powertank to the air compressor. So let me show you. If I plug this in right now, you'll see it's pressurized. You'll hear it's pressurized because you'll hear the air evacuate because there's a hole in this. So basically, when I plug this in, I just let out all of that 100 PSI of air out of there. So now there is no more air in there. I've depressurized it. I've turned the switch off so it's not going to repressurize. So in a sense, I have what appears to be or simulates an air compressor failure. For whatever reason, it's not turning on. Could be a broken wire, could be a failed, motor in here. It could be a fuse blown. For whatever reason, doesn't work. So let's say I need to regain usability of those three systems, the 2 lockers and the 1 sway bar disconnect. Here's how I'll do it. So I'm going to make sure my output regulator is turned off. That's this knob here. And then I'm going to go ahead and pressurize the regulator by opening up the tank valve. And then now what I want to do is set this to 100 psi, because we know that's what ARB is going to fill that little air compressor reservoir with anyway. So 100 psi is perfectly safe. Actually, it can go higher than that, but we're going to stick to the safest possible 100 psi. So now my cable here is charged with 100 psi. Now I'm going to plug in my male end, but because I have this super connector, it doesn't actually shoot air out, even though there's a hole in this, right? Remember, that's a really cool feature. That allows me the time to go in and plug it into this ARB outlet port before I start sending pressurized CO2. But before I do that, let me sort of give you a scenario where you can see how it's working. So I feel like the easiest way to demonstrate this is by showing the front locker actually activating. So as you can see here, the tires move independently because the locker is not activated. Now I'm going to come in here and engage the front locker, and even though that is engaged, the locker is not activated because there's no air pressure to send to the locker. So the switch is on, but I have no air pressure. Watch this. And it is about to start pouring rain. I'm going to send this up into here, plug that in, pressurize it. Check it out. Now the locker is enabled. Holy crap, it is raining bad. Oh my gosh. Come on, camera. Get out of the rain. Oh man. The struggle is real, folks. Wow, yeah, no notice rainstorm, always fun. Look, I think I showed you everything I want to show you, so even though I feel like I could probably continue this video at a more opportune time, the reality of it is you saw I charged that air compressor with the power tank, which enabled my lockers to work, and in turn, all the other systems will now work in the same fashion. Now, I will have to periodically recharge that, of course, as I use it, as air is used out of that tank on the ARB. But you could get creative if you wanted and build a tee-off and then hardline it to the CO2 tank and then kick it on and then just leave it and then run off CO2 the rest of the time. Lots of options. For me, it's an emergency backup solution. So I'm less concerned about that kind of stuff. But anyway, hope that demonstrates how you can do this in a rainstorm. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.